Hey, what's up, everyone? What's up? Welcome to Where Are They Now? But before we get started on this live event, I just want to make sure everything's working. I got to check that Instagram, check that LinkedIn, and make sure y'all can join the live event from the link that we sent out. Okay, looks good to me. Let me cut that off here. All right, let me check Instagram. Can y'all see? Can y'all hear? Put the LUs in the chat if you can. Great, great, great. Hey, welcome back. Right, we got another segment called "Where Are They Now," and this one is super important, man. We got a gentleman that came through and crushed everything, and he's been in the role for almost 2 years now, and we want to see what it's like, right? Because some of y'all out there right now just got that anxiety, are worried as you studying and as you going through a program or as you working with a mentor, and you just worried about like what is it like really in a role. And this gentleman went from internet support to software DevOps engineer. I want y'all to put because I thought I made his name up, but he said his little sister called him. Y'all put the EG3 in the chat and give a super warm welcome to my brother Ernest Gibbs III. What's up, man? How are you, Mr. Gibbs?
Hey, brothers, thank you for having me back again.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a minute because the last time we had you, it was talking about your transition. Like you just landed that role, and you
Right.
were super excited, bro. You was he was like, yeah. Now we want to talk about a little bit more about your journey, but also just giving people the gems and the value of like, hey, what is it like? What is your day to day? You know, how all these things come together that you learn to be able to push yourself to the next level. All right. So
All
thank
right.
you. I see the EG3. Some more EG3s, man. Put the EG3. Let me check Instagram. We got the EG3s in the chat. Let me see.
That
Y'all come on, show that man some love real quick. All right, man. So let's go ahead and get started because I know people are waiting and we want to value everyone's time. So let's talk about little bit about your journey real quick when you transition to DevOps. So can you tell us a little bit about your transition from being an internet support specialist to landing a role as a DevOps engineer and what was that journey like?
all right. In 20, just to kind of start off, in 2021, I kind of expressed interest in wanting to do something different other than tech support. I felt like I had just reached my ceiling in terms of just taking calls and just doing a lot of just different troubleshooting tickets on a day-to-day basis because I mean with tech support, you just have just basically a lot of the same tickets every day. There's
Hmm.
nothing new to learn.
Hmm.
And what happened was at my second tech job, we had a job shadow, and my former boss at the time, he got into what was called a digital product owner position. And in that position, that kind of, I like to say that kind of planted the seed there because in that position, I got to learn what a stand is, what a stand up is. I got to learn about sprints, got to learn
Hmm.
about Jira, the product backlog, all those things that I now do as a DevOps engineer. So just to kind of, fast forward the clock a little bit, I there was a position open at my second tech job for a digital product owner position. I tried to go for it. I did not get the job. I was basically at a crossroads about what to do in tech at that point because I tried Salesforce and I really wasn't interested in that. And then digital product owner, I just kind of didn't find my footing in that. So what happened was I found out that my sister who works at Coalfire, she was learning AWS. My mom let me know that she was learning AWS. I'm like, wait a minute. If she can learn AWS, I know for a fact I can learn because cloud was
Don't
never
do it like that, man. Come on, man.
my bad. But but just me being in the game for a good at this point, maybe about 5 years at that point, I was like, I can go up and maybe give this a try. And then what happened was I ended up downloading Stefan Merrick's course, and that was the AWS Cloud Practitioner course.
Mm.
And I spent all summer of 2022 basically just learning that course. And I basically wanted to just kind of go further along with it in terms of how I can study more in cloud. And what happened was I showed my mom a video of Cyrus Harbin from Texas New Black dancing in his robe. The viral video where about him going to the boot camp
Yeah.
and basically it changed his life. And like my mom encouraged me to look for a boot camp. So I saw Love Up in Tech and basically I saw the success stories and I was like, you know what? I don't have anything to lose by getting into the program. And lo and behold, I just went through the process of just signing up. And as they say, like, the rest is history at that point. I was
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's an awesome story. He's like, if she can do it, I know I can definitely do it. Man, so appreciate you sharing that story. So,
Yeah.
okay, you went through level up in tech and everything, right? And you
Hmm.
learned everything you needed to learn.
Right.
And now you're out of the program and you got this interview with Logic Gate, right?
Hmm.
How did the interview process go for you? And how did, let's say, Lewitt support you in learning what you needed to do for that interview? And what are some aha things that you learned in the interview stage where you're like, oh, this is what I need to be doing, or this is who I need to be, or this is how I need to act? Can you tell us a little bit more about that as well?
All right. So I'm hoping I can answer this properly. So Level Up in Tech was so interview prep was one of the reasons why I joined Level Up in Tech because I felt like I didn't have good interview prepping skills. And you guys like really helped out with that. Um, the interview process for Logicate was about 4 interviews.
Oh,
The first one was basically a getting to know you interview where I sat with a recruiter. Second one was basically with someone from the basically someone from the team, and he got to learn about me and my skills and um, what was like my favorite AWS service. I told him I think it was EC2. I got to go into the reason why I loved EC2. The third interview was someone else on the DevOps team, and then he liked my passion for what basically we discussed in that third interview. And the fourth interview was basically a 2-hour interview process. I
yeah.
got to
What?
learn it. So it's a 2-hour interview process. So um, it was basically learn about the product because it's a GRC company and they basically work with GRC software, which is governance, risk, and compliance for anyone who's not familiar with that.
Mhm.
It was a behavioral interview where they just asked me a lot of different questions about um, what drives you to be in DevOps or what do you study? How do you study? I basically let them know I use Udemy for like a lot of my courses. At that time, we were using
Yep.
a cloud guru at
Yep.
that time. The third interview was a technical interview. From what I remember, they were basically asking me about just different AWS services. They were asking about CI/CD pipelines. I let them know like, hey, I did a project on CI/CD pipelines in the form of a code deploy, not code deploy, but code pipeline on AWS. That's on my Medium profile. I just went through that project just to kind of let them know I know a little bit about a CI/CD pipeline. And then the last interview was with the VP of the company of our department. Let me rephrase that. And he just kind of asked me about the interview process. He asked me about the code challenge that I did. I used ChatGPT, of course, to kind of help out with that. But that's a
Ain't
little
nothing wrong with
extensive.
it. That's what it's there for. You know, to help
Yeah,
us solve problems faster.
right. And basically, about a week or two later, the recruiter called me back, and basically they were impressed with the interview process from that week, and they offered me a role. And I attribute Level Up for the interview prep of that, because had I gone in without the interview prep, I would have been like a fish out of water. I would have like just froze up, and I would have gotten quiet and tense. And Level Up helped me find my voice in terms of interview prepping.
We appreciate that, man. So like if we're talking about if you had to pick something out of the interview that you thought helped you get into it, like whether they like your passion or whether they like your projects or whether they just loved your communication style, what was the biggest thing that you think helped you actually seal the
Mhm.
deal and they liked about you?
I would say my passion for basic for cloud and tech overall. Um, I basically feel like that whenever I talk about tech, a lot of people know this about me personally. Like, whenever I talk about tech, I get super excited.
Mm,
So it's like, I just love to talk about different technologies, and they notice that about me. And I guess that's something that they've like, okay, well, he can definitely fit in on the team, because we're all lovers of this field, and we all want to do something different in it, and we all want to contribute something to it. And we feel like he fits that identity that we have
man, so you really said a lot by saying a little, and I'm just
here.
gonna recap it to the people who are listening. So what he really said was this, and this is something that we experience all the time. To be honest with y'all, while we're figuring out how to the tech can be learned. Tech can be learned all across the board, right? So while we're stressing over do we know enough tech to get the job, really a lot of companies are just looking for your passion to learn it, right? So when you get into an interview and you're like, look, I know this is a lifelong learning journey, and I'm just so passionate about what I'm doing. I want to learn, I want to get in, I want to try new things, I want to break things, and I just want to be able to gain experience from that so I can be the best I can be. That's something that you can't teach. Passion is something that you can't teach. Either you have it or you don't. And some of y'all can go in there and interview against people who have experience, but those people with experience are just not passionate anymore. They're just like, yeah, whatever, I'm just looking for something. And when you come in there and you're like, yes, this is, man, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Look at what I've been doing on my own anyway, while I work a
Mhm.
full-time job. And working for y'all will be amazing because I get to work with this and that. And this is what you all do. You research the company, and you're just super passionate, you can get hired off the bat just like that. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, EG, this is what you're conveying, right? The passion is what really
Yeah.
excited them about you to bring you on the team.
And you have to be curious as well, because going through my process, I found out that they use Golang as well as Python.
I
So
remember you was
Golang
like,
was not
yeah,
something Golang was not something I was familiar with. So you know what? Let me go take a few weeks to learn Golang alone, the interview process, and just make a couple of projects, and
yep.
just let them know, hey, I did a couple of projects in Golang, and this is what I did for it. So that's what I did too, and they were impressed with that too.
Yeah, so I remember that. So if y'all go back to his profile and y'all look, you'll see those projects right there. And that's another thing too, right? So show the passion of continuous learning, continue to learn what they want you. So if you don't have experience or you don't have any exposure to a service or tool that they're using, while you're going through that interview process, even at night, go bang out something, document it, send it right back to them. Like, hey, man, I'm so excited about you using Golang. I had to go out and do a project myself, and this is what I did, y'all. Yeah, I mean, y'all can tell I'm super excited, but I wanted you to check it out. Give me some feedback if y'all could. Think about the excitement that's going to cross the line, and just you're going to inject that energy into the person that's looking to hire somebody like you, because energy is transferred. That's what y'all got to understand. Passion equals energy, and if you could just show that passion and transfer that energy into the person that's looking for somebody like you, then it's going to align just like that. Man, look at that person. We didn't have to tell that person to go learn Golang. They took the initiative themselves to go out and bang out a few projects. So imagine if we bring them onto a team and we introduce them to something they never seen, the initiative they're going to take to learn that thing to be able to get better for us. That's how y'all got to think about it, you know? So,
Mhm.
all right. So, got the job, right? So, in your first
Yeah.
year at Logic Gate, what were some of the biggest surprises or challenges you faced as a newbie in the DevOps space?
So I would say that as a newbie in the DevOps space is that it's not going to be like the projects that you do in the program. You're going to see different types of tickets that you're not going to be familiar with. Um, so an example of that is, let's say you have to update the version of GitLab. That's a task that I was not familiar with because I never did that in the program. Um, Another example I can tell you is, let's see, without taking too long, I would say maybe doing a private link. Private link is basically just you're just setting up a private connection that's not going to be seen by the public. That's another ticket that you might come across, and you when you're basically given the opportunity to work on these tickets, you it's gonna feel like it's imposter syndrome. That's a word that we hear these days in tech. And you're gonna feel like, okay, I've never seen that a day before in my life. But the cool thing about it is you have people who are willing to help you grow in those skills that you're not familiar with. And there are going to be some times where, okay, I'm really interested in that ticket. You know, can someone maybe might watch me learn how to do this ticket and help me grow my skills on how to do this process or how to conquer this ticket. Um, th- there were a couple of tickets that I took on that I basically just kind of outside of work, I wanted to do on my own, such as setting up a sandbox account for a company. That's something that I had a hand in that got me some kudos at one of the company functions that got me an award or whatever, like a
Wow.
little recognition for like setting up a new account for a company who we were working with at the time. And basically, I took that project and did it outside of work and made an article out of it. I've gotten the right documentation. That's something that I wasn't familiar with, but writing articles in relevant tech that helped me get prepared for it. So I was able to learn documentation. So I say all that to say, as a newbie, you know, kind of be curious about tickets at work and navigating through basically the day-to-day stuff of being curious and working with your senior engineers because your senior engineers are your best teachers.
Absolutely. And I know exactly what you're talking about because when I started my career, I started as AWS support with Linux Academy, and it was ticket based for me. I was the only one, and I had to do, for some people it's far more, but I had to do an average of 25 tickets a day. But these tickets were all over the place from, you know, I'm AWS, but these tickets were Azure, GCP, other DevOps tools like Salt, Jenkins, you know, problems with the environment. So, one thing that you all may feel, as I felt, and I'm pretty sure EG3 felt, is when you get a ticket and you look at a ticket and you're like, oh man, I don't I don't want to break nothing. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to touch that ticket. But the reality is when you do the ticket, you're gonna be like, yeah, what was I scared of?
Right. That was
Right.
definitely me on a lot of days.
Yeah. And once you do it
Yeah.
once, it burns in your brain. Like if you do it once and you document, then you
Mhm,
good. You can now start taking those type of tickets on your own and
mhm,
continue to bust them out. It's all about getting over that imposter syndrome, that anxiety, that I'm afraid. Once you take that, once you do it anyway, once you do it scared,
mhm.
you're going to realize you had nothing to be scared of, and those type of tickets become the norm. Now the next level tickets be the ones that scare you. But then when you do those, you realize, what was I
Right.
scared of? And those tickets become the norm. Right. So you got
Mhm.
different level supports. And then when you start upping your levels of supporting and how you can handle the tickets, you become an asset to the company in many ways that you never thought was possible, because your mind just tells you, if you touch that ticket, you're gonna bring the company down to its knees, and they're gonna fire they're gonna fire you
Right.
immediately. And that's, hey, put amen in the chat, or I agree in the chat, if y'all felt this way before, or you're feeling this way now, of what can possibly happen to you in a role, because this is totally normal. All right. So now let me ask you this: what are the key tasks that you handle on a regular basis now?
All right, so a year and some change in right now as an associate DevOps engineer. Currently, I handle a lot of the building and decommissioning of new environments for new clients that we take on. Some brand names I can kind of throw out there at you that I'm kind of responsible for creating. Let's see here, Johnson, the Lord have mercy, the lawn company, lawn care company. Um,
Johnson, the lawn care company. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
not that's the first name that came to
he
mind.
got
My
a different,
bad,
got his
but
clients, y'all. Yeah.
well, let me not go with that one. Let's say Target is one. Target is one that we've worked with.
Mhm.
Um, let's see what else. It's a lot of companies that we've done. We've done the NFL. NFL is a more reputable, known one that I've had a hand in creating.
Yeah,
Um, let's see
it's
what
dope.
else. LTK. LTK is a website that basically it's like a social media website for like fashion.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then we have a lot of brands that we have like partnered up with throughout the years before I came. But overall, whenever a client leaves, I have to decommission that environment, and I go through the process of deleting their replica S3 bucket, deleting their IAM role, and deleting their or setting up their KMS key for deletion for 7 days. Outside of that, I will do documentation. More so, last week I did a disaster recovery test report for the second year in a row, where we have to present a disaster recovery report to the higher ups within the company,
Nice.
and I'm responsible for running that, test, and getting the proper screenshots for the test. Some other tickets that I've done. Um, Working with Route 53 and adding new domains or just new, basically domain names to the system through Terraform, working with
Okay.
that.
And records and
Uh,
everything.
yeah,
Nice.
adding records and everything. So a lot of tickets that I'm not familiar with, that I never had experience with, I've taken on, and it's helped me grow my skills. And what I've done is I basically recreate a lot of these tickets through articles on Medium. And so that basically I
Ooh.
can.
Hold on. Let me stop you. That means y'all better start following EG3 right now, because he's showing y'all exactly what he's doing at work, and y'all can replicate that same thing. That's dope, man. I ain't know that.
Yeah. So basically, just to give you some examples, I've talked about the importance of doing a disaster recovery test. I've talked about creating a sandbox for a new client. More so recently, I put it on LinkedIn today, setting up private link to like a AWS service like S3, and that was basically inspired by a ticket that I had the opportunity to do, where we were setting up a private link for a and a deployment account and I forget the name of it at work, um, but basically another account that we work with different um, departments with that work. And I
Okay.
got the opportunity to do that because we're preparing to move from a different version of the software to a newer version of it. So setting up private link was something that we had to do, and I got the opportunity to do that.
That's
And
dope.
that's something that I recreated last night, and I'm gonna write the article for it between now and
Look at that. Oh, he told y'all between now and tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Go ahead. So now you don't put yourself on the deadline to get that article out.
I'm always up for the challenge, man. Always up for the challenge.
Yeah, man. So that's the crazy thing because think about we push ourselves to and we are hard on ourselves to become experts before we even get in the door. Trust me, I know a lot of y'all out there right now are like, I have to be an expert in this before I start applying to jobs or before I move to the next thing to learn, etc. And EG just basically told you he's learning on the job. You get your experience on the job. That's what it is, right? As long as you got the passion, as long as you can show you've been exposed to things that they want you to be exposed to, everything else comes in the job. You just, don't talk yourself out of it. Because I've seen a couple of people that talk themselves out of quitting because of
Mm.
imposter syndrome and they're just scared to make a mistake. You will make mistakes. That's how you learn. Point blank, period. You can't be scared of making mistakes. You just got to have enough guts to say, I'm just going to step forward. I'm going to learn how to do it. And once again, you're going to look back and say, what was I scared of in the first place? So learn on the job. You don't have to be an expert before you get a job. The experience is going to come because you don't know what the environment looks like. It's impossible for you to know what the environment looks like. They can tell you these are the skills that you're supposed to have. But when you get in there, most of the time, the environments that you're going to work in is going to be different than what you're doing. You because they might have custom services or tools or custom environments that are built, or even back end products that they built themselves that you have to integrate in your workflow, and you never work with them. So you're gonna have to learn. That's just what it is, and just push yourself, learn it. Couple months later, you be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is what this is. Let me show you. Hold on. All right, yeah, you good." And that's how it works. So, um, now looking back, right? We talking now keys to success right now. So
All
looking back,
right.
what would you say are the key attributes or skills that really have contributed to your success in this role?
So I would say that hmm, AW, the number one I would start with is AWS. AWS has definitely been a key to like my success being in this role because if you're taking someone basically just out of the box and you're putting them in front of the computer and you having them, look at AWS at the job and they've never had AWS experience, they're going to freeze up super quickly and probably run. And having basically prior to Love and Tech just experience AWS through the Stefan Barrett course that I was talking about a couple years ago, I was more so comfortable looking within the AWS console and looking for different things. And I do that at work all the time whenever I am just working on a ticket and okay, I know about, S3 on how to get there. And, if I don't know how to get there in S3, I go look at the AWS documentation or EC2 on how to look up an instance or an instance ID or just specific information about an instance. I would say the second thing is Terraform, uh, writing and configuring Terraform code, just knowing the ins and outs about that helped. Um, what else? Let's see. Linux is another one too. I'm surrounded by Linux every day. Linux was one of the first things we learned when
Yeah,
I
that's
was in
fundamental.
my cohort.
Yeah,
And
foundation.
Linux is basically the foundation of either, just any DevOps or cloud engineer when you start, your journey in cloud. And I'm surrounded by Linux every day. You're never going to
Oh,
escape it. And yeah,
yeah, right.
those are the those are the ones that have been like really helpful since I've been
So,
here.
so for those listening, right? Linux or Unix for Microsoft Windows, just learning a server, learn the back ends of it, right? And you don't have to become an expert. You just need to be exposed to a Linux environment and how to
Mhm.
make directories, change directories, create files, list the files, and change permissions. All of that basic fundamental stuff, right? Don't beat it in your head that you got to become a Linux system administrator or a Linux system engineer. You don't. I'm not a Linux admin. I'm not a Linux engineer, and I know Linux pretty damn well. However, it comes with just experience doing it all the time. That's really it. Just different problems that you face on the job that you might be exposed to working deeper into the terminal that you normally would. Also, each job is different, right? So let's say his job is a DevOps engineer, somebody else's job is a DevOps engineer, and they probably work with totally different things than the EG is working with, right? So EG might do a little more documentation and a little more uh, preparation for the C-suite level people to see what's going on. And somebody says, "Well, I'm just working on Terraform the whole entire time. I don't touch anything else."
Mhm.
Right? So just grab the fundamentals of what role that you like, right? If this is a DevOps engineer role, you see common skills that are in this role, maybe five, six, seven, eight roles you done looked at, learn the fundamentals of those common skills and build products, build projects around it. Don't be scared to showcase what you're doing because at the end of the day, you want people to look at you. So with that, we talked about technical skills, right? So how do you feel the importance of soft skills are, like teamwork, communication in your current role compared to technical skills?
Soft skills are important. Soft skills are how you, like you said, communication. Communicating with your teammates on, just certain issues and knowing that basically we're all in this together. Um, Soft skills are important to me because whenever I have an issue at work, I like to put in the Slack channel that, hey, I'm seeing this issue that I'm not really having experience with, and could someone help me or assist me on just kind of guiding me through on how to troubleshoot that. And I'm always just kind of giving kudos to like my senior engineers because, like, hey, thank you guys for being just the greatest teachers ever, just learning from. Um, Soft skills are a big help in just, now I say they're more important than your technical skills because, being humble is, another part of soft skills too, because you don't want to go into the room and think you know everything because it's
Yeah.
not a good look. Be humble because that's something I've always remind myself all the time because I don't know everything there is to know about being a DevOps engineer just yet. So I remind myself, okay, you don't know everything, and not everybody on your team knows everything either. So I would say it's like an even playing field of
I was
we're going
literally
to
gonna
help
say
each
that.
other out and whatnot. And it's like that's the one of the misconceptions that I had about like everybody knows everything, but going behind the curtain and working with people, they don't exactly know everything. They're using Chat GPT, they're using the documentation, and they're using other, you know, resources out there. I mean, when I was setting up, I give you an example. When I was setting up Sneak, I was setting up Sneak for Sneak is it's a basic security service that you use just to kind of monitor your code and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And I had the opportunity of setting this up for myself and for my team. I demoed the process of how to set up Sneak through VS Code. I went to YouTube and put up a video and used that as a guide to help me out and just implementing Sneak. And that's an example of that. And, just we're all here to help each other. And
Yeah.
just in a roundabout way, just getting back to soft skills, that's a key component of just being helpful and being humble.
Yep. And I think just to piggyback too, soft skills are about understanding when to ask for help, like you said, right? Reaching out in Slack and saying, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Because one thing that this is a mistake I don't want anyone to make. It's not a fatal mistake. It's just a mistake that, you can save a lot of time. If you get into a role, saying nothing and trying to power to learn things or get this on your own is not a superpower that people in organizations look at as, they want you to ask questions quickly, to get clarification, to if you need help. Because what happens if they give you a task and let's say it's supposed to be done tomorrow, and tomorrow comes and they say, "Hey, brothers, the task done," and I'll say, "Well, I've been stuck on this, man, since last night. I've been trying to get it. It ain't done yet." The first thing they're going to ask is, "Why didn't you reach out for help?" Because now I've pushed into a timeline of something that's supposed to be delivered on time. And because I didn't have the soft skills to, or I didn't implement my soft skills of communication and asking for help, I set the whole team back. So this is something that I think everyone should take heed of right now. Even if you're in a community, if you're in a program, if you're working with a mentor, ask for the help, because what's going to happen is somebody could come in and fix something within, or help you learn how to fix something within 5 minutes that it took you hours. And that's just what it is, because they've been experienced with it, and not because they're smarter than you. It's because they probably faced that situation before. So what you was gonna say? I'm sorry, G.
I was going to say, can I say something just to add to that?
Yeah,
Everyone always asks for help. Take it
yeah.
from me, because as someone who deals with that sometimes of, okay, let me try to figure it out on my own and just hitting a roadblock. Never be afraid to ask for help. Never feel like you're going to look like an idiot for asking a senior engineer to help you out with the issue, because more likely so they're going to probably know you probably don't have any familiarity with what you're trying to do, and
Mhm.
they will more than likely help you out. So just take it from me, always ask for help if you're not familiar with something.
Absolutely. And think about it like this: you, how can I put it? You asking for help. Okay, let's rewind this. No one, most companies, I'm not gonna say all, most companies that care about their employees from the top down would never throw you to the wolves, right? Because you got to understand, if I'm a manager and I just throw you to the wolves and you sink and I don't help you swim, that looks bad on me. And I got to answer to my higher ups of why this person's not performing and why I haven't given this person proper training or proper onboarding, because that's just how it works. So no one would ever throw you to the wolves and be like, figure this out on your own, do it, because too much is riding on this, right? Deadlines, money, customer SLAs, all of these things are relying on you doing your work in a timely fashion. So as a manager, they will always give you the support and tooling you need most of the time. You do have some badass managers out there that don't care, throw you to the wolves, and that's just what it is. And you just don't need to be there in that company, right? But for the most part, if as a leader, if you have an issue with somebody that works under you, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what did I do to not communicate clearly or not support that person, or etc., to help get done what needs to get done? So when you go into a new role, it's okay. They're not going to sink or swim. They're not going to do that. They're going to support you, give you the proper training, and help you grow, because they know you're green. When they hired you, they know you haven't had a tech job before. So when they hire you, they're like, okay, we love your passion. So with that passion and with the things that you already understand, let's take you to another level and just show you how we do it here. That is all. All right. So, all right. So, a question for you is, can you share some things that you wish you knew before entering the cloud space that could help someone who is just beginning their journey now?
I would say some things that or a couple things that I wish I knew. I wish I knew that, you know, let's see. That's a hard one to ask because that's never been asked before. So um, I
Let
would
me
say I
think it.
wish I. That's a good one. So one of the things I wish I knew was how much amount of the level of coding is involved with it. If I would have known a couple of years ago, well, hey, sometimes coding might be involved in it, sometimes it's not. Maybe I might have would have dived into it a little more deeper
Mm.
because sometimes I don't exactly write actual code at my job just yet, but it's all jobs are different. Let me put that out there. All jobs are different. They may have you write code, and you might have jobs that may not have you do that. You might have to maybe reconfigure some code somewhere in order for it to work. That's one thing. Um, I would say I wish I knew that there were resources available because, you know, prior to me starting cloud was never on my radar. I can tell you that, hand to God, it was never on my radar up until I started seeing a lot of the success stories and level up and just finally taking a stab at it and just kind of biting the bullet at that point because I really wanted to do something different outside of tech support. And that's something I wish I knew before I basically got into it because I really would have just jumped into it early if I
So
knew those
just want to make sure I'm clear what you said. So you saying that just for people that's listening, if you knew before you started, you thought it was going to be a ton of coding.
things.
And if you knew like you didn't have to code as much, you would have just said, "Hey, let me go into this now," because that's probably what scared you from starting.
Yeah, that's definitely what scared me from
I just
starting.
want to make
Coding
sure
was
that's what you were
involved in
saying.
it. We had this discussion last time. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so coding was definitely something that was just like super scary to me. I even basically one of my articles was called The Fear of Bodo 3. For most
Mm.
people who don't know, Bodo 3 is basically the AWS library in Python. And basically I named one of my articles The Fear of Bodo 3. And that's where that
Oh,
came from.
but
Yeah.
that's great because that's one of the like when I talk to people, well, I don't want to be coding though. And in this day and time,
Yeah.
you should not be scared of coding because there's so many services out here like
Mhm.
GitHub Copilot that can help
Copilot.
you help Copilot you into writing code that you never thought you could write at all. It's
Mhm.
crazy, right? So even if you're in a role, think about it. Even the experts write code with help. Like they're not writing code from scratch. They're going grabbing templates from somewhere that somebody's already solved the problem and just kind of reinventing the template to
Mhm.
work in their environment with their variables and with their services.
Mhm.
So the whole thing is about just getting the job done as quickly as possible, right? So we're not going to sit here and write hundreds of lines of code all night, eyes bleeding. We like, oh man, we can't. Some developers do. That's what they do. That's their job. That's why they're developers. They love to do this. But even with developers, they're finding quick ways to write this code and write clean code. And now you got so many services and so many AI tools that can help you with coding, and
Mhm.
you won't even have to learn it. You could just be able to write it and get the job done. And if you want to learn it, that's something that you can dive into. But don't be scared to jump into this industry because you're scared of coding. Because sometimes you may not even be doing any of that. You may be doing something completely different in your cloud role and engineering in a different way. All right. So, last question for you. As you continue to grow in your career, what are the goals or projects you're excited to work on in the future? Like what can we expect out of Ernest next year?
Well, right now I am in the midst of learning Kubernetes. I definitely want to work with more. I definitely want to work more projects that are Kubernetes based because the platform that we're going to, which is our next version of the software that we're basically looking to release, is basically going to be done in EKS, which
Okay.
is Elastic Kubernetes Services. So, as someone who I can admittedly say, Kubernetes is a weak point of mine, I definitely want to make it a strength. The next thing after that, I definitely want to go all in on AI. AI is something that I am a big fan of. It's something that I kind of dabble in on my free time. I love the Bing image creator where you just kind of just create your just different images, and
Mhm.
I love using Chat GPT, and I love just having it teach me things that I'm not familiar with at my job. And I really do feel like AI is definitely a tool that can help you. It's not going to take your job away.
That's the thing, like, everybody, "You
it
gonna take my job." No, it's not. Just learn
it
it.
can definitely be your Robin to your Batman.
Absolutely.
AI can be.
Use it
So those
right.
are the two things that I
No,
want
go.
to do.
Sorry.
Oh, now those are the two things that I really just kind of want to learn going into the next year, and just so that way I can be a more well-rounded engineer.
Yeah, and that's what it's there for. Like, it's just to help you really learn. AI is there to help you learn things at a level that it meets you at your own playing field.
Mhm.
All right. So, like, if you run across documentation or you're trying to do something and it's explaining it too technical for you, you can literally ask AI to, "Hey, can you explain this to me on a 10-year-old level?" And it
Mhm.
will explain it to you on a 10-year-old level, and you're like, "Oh, I got that. Yeah, the Lego blocks of this." So you know,
Yes, that is
so
one of the prompts that I write, teach it to me as if I was 5 years old. And wow, it just breaks it down to you. I'm like, okay, I can understand that now.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. So if anyone has questions for EG3, go ahead and hit him up on LinkedIn, Ernest Gibbs III. He is there. Can you put your link in the are you able to put it in the chat here, EG? Um,
I think I can. Let's see.
all right. So if some of you on there say, "Hey, I want to be serious about transitioning into cloud. I just want to learn what it is. I just want to learn like what I can do with it." Right. I want to invite you to our community, free community, Level Up Attack, Cloud Career Accelerator, free starter courses, free projects. We do a crap ton of content in there to help motivate you, help you think how you could be successful in your own time, on your own terms. Now, with that being said, too, if you got any questions for me, anything I can give you some advice on, here's the number you could text 434-771-3871. You could text that number. I will respond back to you. Ask questions. I'm here to just help you learn cloud, land a job, and make money. All right. So were you able to put that in there?
It's actually not allowing me to do it, but
All right.
if you just go
So
on,
send it to me. We're gonna do a little innovation, y'all, or workaround. Send it to me on LinkedIn real quick, and I go ahead and put it uh behind the scenes so people can get that link and connect with you. Let me see. Matter of fact, I could probably just go ahead and grab it. I got you right here. So
perfect, perfect,
don't worry, I got it. All right, so let's do this real quick. I'm about to put his LinkedIn link up for y'all. So if you want to connect with EG the third, EG3, that's his LinkedIn link right there. Make sure you type it in. Go ahead and connect with him. You can continue to ask him questions about his journey as well. I'm sure he'll give you some gems. All right. But the takeaway from this is look, your journey is not going to be, or where you land is not going to be what you thinking if you're thinking all the negative and wrong things, right? You're going to be in an environment that's supportive for you learning. They're going to help you grow, and you're going to push past all the anxiety and fear that you had and realize that all of these things are not what you think they are. It's okay if you don't know anything because everyone doesn't know anything. Like, I don't know nothing either. I'm just telling you. Technology changes so much. We just have experience of what we've done. So if I face something that I haven't faced before, I have to go and research just like you to figure out how to solve the problem. So tech is not about knowing everything. It's about finding the solution to the problem that you face. All right. And if you can do that, and if you love to do that, then my friend, you already leveled up in tech. All you got to do is continue to walk the journey. All right. So EG3, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, talking more about what you're doing right now, what you hope to do in the future. I hope everyone got some value out of that. I hope everyone took notes and just coming into this industry with a new refreshed idea of what you could be doing and what it's going to look like for you. All right, now make sure you connect with EG. All right, that's the banner right there for you. If you got any questions, make sure you text me at this number here. All right, write that number down, put that number in your phone right now. Let's go. And if you want to join the community, free courses, free starter courses, free projects, lots of content, live events, all of that. Join our community there. All right. Now, until next time, thank y'all so much. Let's continue to level up in tech. And we out of here. Thank you so much, EG the
Later.
third. See y'all.
Thank you.